Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, the D23 Expo schedule has been released. Disneyland is turning 69 this week. A new YouTube show featuring cast members.
Dole Whip Day is coming. A Magic Keyholder deal at Paseo. We finish our conversation with filmmaker Matthew and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Oh boy, it sure is great to see you, Weekly Tears. Come on, Goofy. Gors.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of July 17th. Happy birthday, Disneyland 2024. I'm Tig Bushman.
And I'm Teresa Urban. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show. This week, we would like to give a special shout out to Kim S., Rebecca M., Leslie U., and Sherry H. for your continued support. If you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of the show, plus all sorts of fun bonus perks, please head on over to dlweekly.net/support and become an official weekly tier.
Now let's get to the news.
Extra, extra, read all about it. DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
Well, this week is the week for requesting reservations for D23 Expo attendees. The schedule was released last week and now through noon Disneyland time on Friday to request reservations to the panels and events. Reservations will be given out based on preference and availability sometime between August 2nd and August 5th, right before the expo happens. So what are some of the things that showed up here that you're excited about? Oh
my gosh. Okay, so go figure. This is something where we need to try and make decisions, and tons of good panels. So of course decision making was a little bit difficult, but we'll just narrow it down to the ones that we're looking forward to the most, that we kind of narrowed down to. So on Friday, August 9th, we are very excited. There is a Disneyland foods panel, which, I mean, the only way they could make that better is if there was like free samples. I'm sure there won't be, but that would be amazing. There's Muppets 70, so like celebrating 70 years of the Muppets, and it's titled A Glamorous Miss Piggy Retrospective. So it's going to be fun. Like, I think it's going to be hilarious and fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anything with the Muppets is always really great. So, and the fact that it's a Miss Piggy retrospective, I feel like she's going to be like hosting it or something or be a co-host.
Yeah.
We also have the costuming artistry behind Disney Experiences, which sounds like it'd be in the movies, but also like for, well, experiences. So it should be like the parks and stuff. And then bringing the worlds of Disney animation to life in Disney parks, which also sounded kind of interesting.
And actually, this is the one day that Tag and I are probably going to veer off from each other, because at the same time as bringing the worlds of Disney animation to life in Disney parks, there is a Lorcana past, present, and future panel, and it's the only Lorcana panel the entire weekend. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but I very much enjoy playing Disney's Lorcana. It's the new card trading game that...
Well, not new anymore. But
new anymore, but it was new I think it was last fall, so it had, I don't even know if it's been a full year. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Well, they announced it last Expo.
Yeah, it's been close to a year that it's actually been out and released, and I just have so much fun playing it. So I'm really excited to go see the panel. But I tell you, Tag was making fun of me, rightfully so, because at the time that the Lorcana panel is scheduled, there was also this Bringing the Worlds of Disney Animation to Life in Disney Parks panel, which sounded amazing. There's a Goofy movie panel happening. It's like behind the scenes, a making of a Goofy movie. And one of the 2 live ink and paint demos is happening that weekend. So we have a spreadsheet because we're that level of nerds when it comes to this. And I was putting all my things on there, and Tag's like, you have 4 things all at one time. So yeah, some hard decisions had to be made.
I mean, the only way to like get a good visual representation of what you have available is to put it in a spreadsheet. That's just how it works.
Honestly, though, making a spreadsheet of, figuring out what your top things are, putting it on a spreadsheet, and then kind of seeing how everything clicks together to make your day make sense. It's so much easier for us to be able to do that visually. So yeah, we have a really fun color-coded spreadsheet with time blocks and all sorts of fun.
I also would just like to say Disney.
So many good things.
You schedule things for people who have Honda Center tickets. You schedule some really good stuff in the time that there's no way that you will finish it and get to the Honda Center and be able to catch like the full Honda Center experience.
But I feel like they did that on purpose, because then it makes the people that didn't get Honda Center, like it gives them something cool that they get to experience that Honda Center people don't get to experience.
Sure.
So it's like a trade-off. But there are some really amazing evening panels.
Friday, the one that we probably would have picked, but we have the entertainment showcase at the Honda Center, was the Walt Disney Treasures personal art and artifacts from the Walt Disney Family Museum. On Saturday, we'll get to the day stuff in a minute, but the evening stuff, of course, this thing went back to... I was just trying to go back to the time. The other thing was the Magic Journeys Memories of the Sherman Brothers on the archive stage on Saturday.
That's going to be an amazing panel.
And that overlaps. And then finally on Sunday, the Down the Rabbit Hole, the Disney You Didn't Know, is at 6, but that's also when the Honda Center...
Yep, it's in the middle of when the Honda Center Legends Award ceremony is going.
Yeah.
But so Saturday, the panels and things that we picked were, we're going to start off the day with A Beautiful Tomorrow, Just a Dream Away, Disney at the 1964-65 New York World's Fair on the Walt Disney Archive stage. After that, we have a panel, it's called Directing Disney, but it's with Pete Docter from Pixar, also at the Walt Disney Archive stage.
And then we have an Exploring New Parts of the Mind behind the design of Inside Out 2 and a dreamy surprise. I don't know what that is, but I'm excited about that.
We'll find out.
And what made me want to pick this one is we enjoyed ourselves so much at that Disneyland or the Pixar Place Hotel little speaking series that I was like, this is probably going to be just as good as that, so I kind of want to see it. And now, having seen Inside Out 2, I feel like it'll be even better. And then something we didn't register for because it wasn't on the registration, but it is on the event list, is a conversation with Zootopia 2 filmmakers. That's on the show floor. So I feel like that's going to be similar to the Inside Out 2 thing, which will be nice.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking, too. Like, if we wouldn't have gone to the Pixar series at the Pixar Place Hotel, I don't know if those two panels would have been things that would have been on my radar before, but like you said, it was such a great experience. I'm really looking forward to this. Obviously, we have not seen Zootopia 2, nor will we have seen it prior to going to this, but I'm really excited to learn more about the new film. Absolutely.
Then on Sunday... Sunday was a little more sparse in general for us. We still had stuff we were really interested in, but a lot of it's all around the same-ish time. So the first one was the behind the scenes of Disney Animation's Once Upon a Studio, which is that short little animation. The writers are going to be there, and the head of hand-drawn animation, Eric Goldberg, is going to be there. So I think that would be really kind of cool to see. The other thing that was going on, but we don't know which legends are going to be there, we didn't register for this, was the Disney Legends in Conversation. So we're not sure if this is like this year's Legends or previous. They don't say.
I'm sure whichever Disney Legends are going to be there, it's going to be great. The big thing for Sunday that I know I'm very, very excited about, and Tag is too, is there's a panel called Jolly Holiday, and this isn't a panel. I guess I shouldn't have said that. It's a musical celebration of Richard Sherman, and I think this is going to be incredible. I'm super looking forward to this.
Yeah, so the description says, with unbelievable performances and delightful surprise appearances by some of the people who knew and admired him best. So that could be really cool.
Yeah.
That was also around the same time as the Dream Chasing 4 Decades with Imagineering, which is Leslie Iwerks, Bob Weiss, the previous head of Walt Disney Imagineering, and Wendy Lefkin, who works with publishing, to talk about Bob Weiss's book and working on all the different stuff. And then we had a Plan C, which was an entertainment panel backlot stage because it's to be announced.
Yeah.
So we don't know what it's going to be. So on Friday, whatever's announced at the entertainment showcase in the Honda Center will probably relate to whatever this is, but we don't know what it is. So
it could be amazing.
It could be.
But it overlaps with Jolly Holiday. So
and then what's our
we'll find out about it later. And
things.
then we did this on purpose. So whenever you're planning, if you've never been to the D23 Expo, whenever you're trying to plan out your days, we always try and tell people to pick 3 things, like 3 panels or 3 big things that you want to do and kind of build out from there. So we've already broken our own rule because day 1, we've got 4 things. Day 2,
4 things,
we've got
5 things.
5 things. However, the second half of our day is actually all stuff that's on the show
that's
floor.
only 4 things because that's a pendant giveaway.
Yeah. So like there's a giveaway thing which is on the show floor, and then the afternoon is 2 things that are. It's like it's kind of a casual afternoon because there's things that are on the show floor, so you don't have to queue. Some of these big panels, you're having to queue up, even if you have a reservation for it. You're having to queue up a good hour, if not more. Like an hour is probably the minimum that you're queuing up ahead of time. So a lot of these big panels, it's not just the time that the panel's going. You have to take into account how long you're waiting to get in, and then also how long it takes to get everybody filtered out of the room, because some of these rooms are holding, thousands of people. So it takes time. So you don't want to like pack every minute of every day full, because it's just it's impossible. Then the other thing too is this is just the panel and that schedule. This isn't even talking about all the amazing things that are just happening on the show floor, because there's the always amazing Imagineering showcase that's on the show floor. There's a Pixar booth. There's a Walt Disney animation booth. There's the archives display, plus countless other really incredible things to do and experience on the show floor. So you need to make sure that you leave healthy gaps in your show days so that you can go do and experience all those things too. So we kind of made sure Friday was just, we had too many things we were interested in. So Friday's mainly panels for us, but we made sure to make time both Saturday and Sunday to go experience the show floor in all its glory. But yeah, so
what are the last 2 things?
Oh, and then the last 2 things we talked about. The last thing is we'll see how this goes. It's the last day, so we're gonna have a good grasp on how to get ourselves from the convention center to the Honda Center and how much time that takes. So we're thinking this might work. Maybe it won't, but we are hoping, because it's a panel we're really, really excited about, we're hoping to be able to go experience the Magic After Dark, the story of Disney's Nighttime Spectaculars panel, which is, of course, at the archive stage, because that's our favorite. But it ends 15 minutes before the Disney Legends panel is supposed to begin. So we will most likely be late for the Legends ceremony. Otherwise, depending if we feel like it takes more time, we might just have to leave early from the Magic After Dark panel. We'll see. But we felt like we'll have 2 days of it under our belt of getting between the 2 locations. So we should have a good grasp on how to do that.
I also feel like they want these things to start on time, but I think if they have a lot of people still filtering in, they're going to like wait a little bit, because I feel like that happened in previous years too, where they were still seating some people. So like some of these things, when they say they're going to start at 7 or they're going to start at 5 or whatever, don't always start right at that time. That's kind of like, that's their goal, obviously. But if people are still filtering in, they're not going to have a bad show.
Well, yeah, and this will be interesting because this is, everybody's got assigned seats at the Honda Center too. So that's the other reason that we didn't feel bad having a short turnaround time between the 2 things, because we have a guaranteed assigned seat at the Honda Center. So it's not like, oh, we're going to be at the back of the line. Are we going to get in, or are we not even going to get in? And if we get in, are we going to be at the back and can't see anything? We already know we're at the back and can't see anything because those are the seats that we purchased. So, and we're fine with that. But very, very exciting. We'll have to see. So this was just this week. Like Teg said, it was, the schedule was released, and then we have until Friday the 19th to make our selections. They are doing a random selection process for people to have reservations to their preferred panels. And then I believe it said August 2nd is when emails will start going out to let everyone know if they were able to snag any of those reservations or not. So
yep, 2nd through the 5th.
It is nice because they did have, it's 5 days that you have to go in there. You can go in as many times as you need to make as many changes as you want. So it was a nice, kind of a very like low key, easy thing to do. We both logged in this afternoon, didn't have to wait in a queue, got right in, made our selections, and now they're done unless we decide we need to switch some things up. So we'll see how it goes. But so far it was very smooth sailing.
Yep.
Well, the day that this podcast posts, Disneyland will turn 69. There isn't much planned for the day to celebrate except a cavalcade scheduled at 12:15 p.m. featuring, of course, characters and music.
Disneyland 69. I saw, obviously any of these birthday milestones that are close to a bigger milestone, so obviously in this case like the 70th anniversary, always seems like, can we just get to the 70th? Because obviously these smaller ones in between aren't going to have huge celebrations attached to them. But that does mean that we have a year countdown for the 70th anniversary, which I'm curious to see for the 70th if it's going to be, if they're going to choose to do the 70th big or they're going to wait to 75.
That's a great question. I kind of feel, because I was just thinking back on this, 65 would have been the last big celebration. 60, they definitely did a big, like, it was a big deal.
But 65 was COVID and it closed.
Yep, exactly. 65, the parks were closed. And honestly, based on the merch release that they did online for 65, I think there was a bigger celebration planned, bigger than just a cavalcade and bigger than what we've seen since then. Because we were able to be there for the 66th anniversary. And really, I don't even remember if there was merch.
No, not for I don't think it's for 66.
So, I just remember how cool the 65 logo was that they did, and they had all sorts of park characters as well as just Disney characters incorporated in the logo. So I kind of think because 65 was probably planned to be more of a celebration, I don't think they're going to skip, because, I was wondering the same thing, if they'd skip over 70 to do like something real big for the 75th. I do think we're going to get something real big for the 75th, but I don't think 70 is going to just be a little party.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much for 70 because like no big attractions or anything, because that stuff would have already had to have been announced.
Yeah.
But there might be some decorations and merch and stuff like that, which I think will be really cool.
Well, and like for 60 they decorated the castle.
Right.
So maybe for 70 the castle will get a little sparkle. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do, but maybe they'll do something.
So the 60th was the diamond celebration. What is 70-year wedding anniversary? Because that's what they seem to be going off of. Platinum. Oh.
Ooh.
Well, platinum, they just went through a bunch of platinum stuff for the 100th for whatever. So I don't know. We'll see what they do. I'm sure it'll be something fun and exciting. But if you're going to be there for the 69th, enjoy it. Maybe you're listening to this podcast while you're either on the way there or you just came from there.
Maybe.
A new YouTube show dedicated to cast members has premiered. How Happy Happens features cast members and their stories working at the Disney parks. The first 2 episodes are up on the Disney Parks YouTube channel, featuring a cast member from the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular out in Walt Disney World and a silhouette artist from Disneyland who is a hoot.
This was so fun. We literally just watched this right before recording, and it's so fun. Okay, first of all, the 2 had a ball. It was Bob, who was a silhouette artist, and he's at Disneyland. He said he'd been there for 16 or 17 years. And then Rayvon, who was the Walt Disney World ambassador previously, and so he's the one that's kind of heading these little fun short YouTube videos and kind of going behind the scenes. It was a hoot, though. Bob was so much fun. Like, I'm like a Bob fan. I want to go have my silhouette done by Bob. But he and Rayvon were just having a blast. He was trying to teach Rayvon how to do the silhouettes, and they were just ripping on each other. It was so entertaining to watch. It was so fun.
I missed one. There was also Robin, one of the Savannah keepers who works with animals at Disney's Animal Kingdom. So there's been 3 different ones that have been on there. So I want to go watch these other ones now too. This is great. This reminds me. I think they're doing. It's a little more fun, I think. But they used to do that YouTube, like every roll of starring role, and they talked about the different people. So I think this is kind of like taking that and making it. Not that the other thing wasn't entertaining, but a little bit more like by adding like a host.
It's almost like it's hands-on now.
Yeah.
Because the host is kind of not fully stepping into these roles, but they're really getting a good idea of what the role is, and like in this case, trying their hand at the specific task. So it's
definitely
go
watch it, because it is hilarious to watch Rayvon try to cut out people's shapes.
You know what?
He did really well.
He did really well for being his
sure.
first time. I don't think mine would have looked half as good as his.
Well,
so
next time we
shout
go,
out to him.
Just have to try to.
There you go. We have Animation Academy. Can we get a silhouette
Academy.
Silhouette Studio Academy. I love it. Well, a fun day to celebrate Dole Whips is coming up. Dole Whip Day is July 18th, the day after Disneyland's birthday, and the celebration runs through the 21st. Disneyland, there are a variety of goodies at the Tropical Hideaway, Tiki Juice Bar, and Trader Sam's over at the Disneyland Hotel. So no new Dole Whips will be out for Dole Whip Day to celebrate Dole Whips, but make sure you grab yourself a tasty treat to celebrate.
Yeah. I was kind of sad because I was looking at this and I was like, oh, all these things exist here where there's some other stuff available over in Disney World to celebrate some of this. So we didn't get anything too fun.
A mountain of Dole Whip treats over at Disney World.
Can we talk about
forget
this
how many there are.
Pineapple upside down cake topped with frozen pineapple treat inspired by Dole Whip?
Yeah.
That sounds like it would be amazing.
Pineapple on pineapple. Well, they did release the pineapple upside down recipe a couple weeks ago. I think we reported it on. So there, we can do that, and then we'll just go to our local drive-in that serves Dole Whip. Of course, it's not as good as Disneyland's Dole Whip, but we'll just make our own at-home version.
I'm just looking at some of these pictures of Dole Whip.
You're
and I'm
teasing
like,
yourself with seeing what Walt Disney World has.
Yeah. Ooh, they have a cupcake? A Dole Whip cupcake, which is a yellow cupcake filled with Dole Whip pineapple mousse garnished with a cherry at Disney's Boardwalk Resort. Oh, my goodness.
There you go.
See, Disneyland should just bring some of this stuff over here, too, because we love Dole Whips. Oh, my gosh, it's a bathtub of Dole Whip.
Mm-hmm. It's like a Dole Whip sundae.
Closing the browser.
Go back into the browser for a second, because I had forgotten about this, and I feel like we need to remind others, too, in case they had forgotten. But there is a special...
Where am I going?
To Disneyland. Go down. Down again. Stop. Don't move. There is
It's like I'm moving a photo on a wall. Up a little bit to the left. Up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a little bit more. Nope, the other way. Okay.
There is a special Dole Whip at the Tropical Hideaway that has been available for, I believe it was part of the Pixar Fest menu. It's the pineapple coconut float. It is blue Dole pineapple coconut juice topped with Dole Whip, strawberry lava, and a gummy. It is non-alcoholic, and it is available not just for Dole Whip Day, but it's available through August 18th. So I had, when I was rereading this, I'm like, oh, I'd forgotten about this Dole Whip, and we didn't try it the last time we were there, but thankfully it'll still be available when we are visiting the parks for D23. So I'm putting this at my must, on the top of my must try list, because it sounds...
I was hoping to find a photo somewhere, but I don't see that anybody's posted a photo that I can easily find for this, because I wanted to see what it looked like, but...
Go up.
I don't think it was in the...
Yeah, it is. Right there. The blue one. Bottom right.
This?
Yeah.
Oh! That looks festive.
I know. Isn't that fun?
All right. Well, moving on from Dole Whips to other tasty treats. Move over popcorn. There's a new bucket in town, by the way. Teresa also had that in for the thing, so she's getting into the writing here. A new ice cream bucket is available now at Gibson Girl in Disneyland and Clarabelle's at Disney California Adventure. The new bucket is shaped like an ice cream truck and comes with a spoon that has an ice cream cone on the handle.
So this is not something that I feel that I need to add to my collection, but holy cow, is it cute and fun.
Wait. Did I just... Oh, I did not notice that before.
What? The faux...
That the spoon comes out of the top of the
so there's a faux ice cream cone that's I don't know, it's...
out the roof of the car.
Out of the roof of the car, like it's up there, like it's a decoration for the car. The car moves, you can, pull it or push it, and it rolls along the ground. And yes, the ice cream... I don't know. The ice cream cone thing on the roof is the spoon. So it's kind of like how the train, the smokestack, was the whistle.
I just was so surprised. They pulled it out. I didn't notice that the first time, but I was like, what
just happened?
I don't know. Like you said, I don't think I need this, but it is very cute. And I see that it's probably going to be pretty popular with people.
Oh, 100%. Oh, yeah. They just do, this team is just knocking it out of the park with all these fun novelty. We have popcorn buckets, we have sippers, and now we have ice cream trucks or ice cream buckets or whatever we're going to call this. But yeah, super, super cute. Well, a new Magic Keyholder special offering is at Paseo through the end of the month. For $100, you can get a 3-course dinner for 2. There are 2 options for an appetizer, a main course, and of course, dessert. For Magic Keyholders on the move, a free agua fresca is a keyholder perk over at Tiendita with a $25 purchase.
I saved us by not putting the names of these dishes in because we are very bad at pronouncing certain things. So we'll have it linked in the show notes. But there's choices of some different things for the dinners, for the first course, the main course, and the dessert's a chef choice.
I think this is so fun, though, because they're calling the menu a Taste of Paseo, which, so for me, Paseo is a little intimidating because I don't always like fancier food is not always to my taste. That's just me. But this is nice because it's like you can still try the menu without having to overspend a pretty penny. So this is it's perfect. A taste of Tiendita, or a taste of Paseo, which if we were going to be there during this time, I would 100% do this. No questions asked. 'Cause then I can try out the menu, try out the restaurant without having to fully commit.
I've heard really good things.
Oh yeah,
and I think you're totally right that if you are in one of those things where you're not sure, great tasting menu for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if any of you guys try it, let us know. You do have to present your valid Magic Key to receive the offer, and the Magic Key holder must be present. Well, Friday, July 19th, could be a big day for cast members at the Disneyland Resort. That is the day that the Disney Workers Rising Bargaining Committee members will vote on whether they are going to strike. The members represent about 13,000 cast members at the resort and could result in staffing issues. They are fighting for fair wages, a fair attendance policy, seniority increases, and a safe environment for cast and guests.
So these things, whenever these come up, it just always really breaks my heart because cast members are the magic makers. Without cast members, Disneyland just would be, it'd still be cool and fun, but it wouldn't be the level that Disneyland is for all of us. Because think of all your character interactions. We just watched the Silhouette Studio guy on the Bob on the YouTube video, and he was just a blast. Just think of all the fun, amazing, and just genuinely magical experiences, and even just short interactions you've had with all sorts of different cast members. So it always just makes me really, really sad whenever things come to this, that they're having to resort to possibly having to strike just so that they can get fair wages, a fair attendance policy, increases for seniority. These things just, a safe environment for cast and guests. These things just kind of feel like it's easy for us as the guests to not think about these things. And it just breaks my heart to think that cast members aren't being treated fairly because, again, they are the magic makers. They are the reason you have such an amazing time at a Disney park is because of cast members. So it just really makes me sad to when I hear that they're not being treated fairly, because I don't know, you just hope and assume that they are. So it's really sad to learn that they aren't. So we came into somebody shared something from an internal cast thing for us. So Friday, July 19th at the Anaheim Hilton from 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. is where you can go to vote whether you want to strike or not. There's informational meetings that day at 6:30. This is for cast members, by the way. For 6:30 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. If you need ASL interpretation, that's available at the 9 a.m. meeting. You can vote anytime during that thing. So go online. You should be able to find this. There's some Q&A stuff linked online as well. So if you're a cast member and you didn't know about this, I assume everybody knows about this, but in case you don't, just in case,
that's the information. And if you're going to the park, anytime you go to the park, really, appreciate the cast members. Give them a kind word to their face.
Yes.
But also, make sure that you go in through the app or to City Hall and the City Hall will probably push you to the app now. But give some cast member compliments when people do a good job because, like Teresa said, they are the magic makers. What did Walt say? You could build the best thing or whatever, but it's the people that makes it a thing. So that is the big deal. I hope that they don't have to strike. I hope that Disney just comes around and pays them. Not only pay is one of the things. One of the cast members, former cast member that we know through the podcast, said that one of the big things is attendance policy, because their attendance policy is not very fair.
Well, and it's interesting because, you think you know what attendance policy is because you're used to whatever your attendance policy is for wherever it is that you work. And there's just certain things that you think are just kind of common practice that aren't happening at Disneyland, which really kind of makes me scratch my head, because I feel like if they would adjust the attendance policy there, not only would it be more beneficial to the cast members, but I think it'd be more beneficial to Disney as well. Just things like it's hard to kind of request time off. You more or less have to trade shifts instead of request time off, or you're calling in, even if it's something that you had planned ahead of time, which I do the scheduling where I work, and I would much rather you tell me that you couldn't be here so I could plan for that. That works better for me. Everybody. Scheduling that works better for you, for your life. So there's just some things that kind of make us scratch our head. So to kind of wrap it up, we wish the best for the cast members. It makes us sad that it's come to this point, so we really hope that this gets resolved quickly, so that, because I'm sure the cast members, they aren't doing this lightly. It's not, oh, we just feel like we deserve more, give us more, please. It's not that at all. Like, it's just for fairness.
If they do strike and your vacation is less than magical because of this, do not blame the cast members. Yeah. It is not the cast members' fault that this is happening. They've tried in good faith to negotiate with Disney, and Disney has just basically said, no, we're not going to do that. So if you're going to be mad at somebody because your vacation is disrupted in any way, write Disney letters, call them, do all of that stuff, because it's not the cast members' fault. It's Disney not coming to the table to negotiate in good faith. So,
well, and I think I saw somewhere that negotiations started back in the spring. Yeah. So it's not something. The strike doesn't happen because, oh, we're unhappy, let's just strike. No, it's like Tag said, it's after a lot of kind of trying to come to some sort of agreement, and it's just not working. So anyways, be nice to your cast members. Be extra kind to them if you have a trip coming up in the recent future, because they do have a lot of extra stuff kind of weighing on them right now. And just be kind in general. And we've gotten into a really good habit, especially with the app, of whenever you have a really awesome cast member experience, go into the app while you're waiting in line, or make a little note, or ask them if you can take a photo of their name badge, so that you can quickly take 2 seconds to 2 to 10 seconds to go in the app and do a little quick cast compliment for them, because that's meaningful, and that gets back around to them. So that's always appreciated. I feel like this is something that we've been reporting on for ages, and that we're going to keep reporting on for ages, but we have another West Side Park construction update for you. So the last big thing was on July 8th, the construction walls shifted. So right now the construction walls actually dead end if you're on the west side of the park. So if you're over by the Pirates of the Caribbean or in front of where Haunted Mansion is, the walls have shifted, and they actually dead end, and you cannot go any further than Harbor Galley. So you can go get your cookies, and you can turn around and go back. That's all you can really do there. And same thing on the opposite side. You're blocked off at the end of Rise of the Resistance. That side in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, I will say, is marked better, and there's actually cast members kind of standing there to let you know, nope, this is the end. Whereas Harbor Galley, apparently some guests have not realized. They think it's just they're being rerouted with how the construction walls are set up, so they think that we can't go to the left of Harbor Galley on the main road. We have to go, kind of back and around towards the Rivers of America, but that is also blocked off. So Harbor Galley is the point of no return. That is the end of the road. But the reason that they're doing this is I wasn't quite sure why. So shout out to those of the news sources that we follow that have the ability to go to the parks frequently and take photos of the progress for us. David from Fresh Bake. Also, Mice Chat has a lot of really great photos and updates. But the bridge, so the bridge that used to go over that the logs would go under after the big drop. They completely ripped up the paving on top of that bridge. So that would be the big reason why they put the construction walls out where they put them up, because they are repaving that bridge.
I'm surprised that this... I mean, I guess maybe I'm not that surprised, but I'm kind of surprised that they tore all that up, because I thought it seemed like it was in pretty good shape, but maybe they're going to do some different theming or something for it.
Maybe we'll get some themed cement, some themed pavement.
Well, did you see the other
No, we're not. There's a reason that's not in the news tag. No, I'm just kidding. So speaking of pavement, do we want to talk about that?
Yes, so there is... I was wondering what this was all about, and I still don't really know what it was about, but it just showed up. When we were there, back by the Fantasyland Theater, they had put construction walls around, like, one of the booths or something back there. They must have done something underground.
Yeah.
Anyway, they have these nice pavers all around it, but they have filled this area in with, like, rocky cement, I'll call it, where it's got, like, stones in the cement. It doesn't, in my opinion, does not look very good or go with anything around it.
Well, but the interesting thing is it's just one, like, patch or one section.
Yes.
So I'm curious what this is going to look like. Like there's a bigger plan here. There has to be, because it doesn't make sense how it is. So I'm curious what the master plan is for the pavement that they're redoing now over by. Well, and the interesting thing too is it wasn't that last year that they were redoing the pavers
down towards
Toontown. They were doing the, like, as you left Fantasyland and the Fantasyland Theater and you go under the train.
Yep.
The train tracks.
Yep.
The pavers there they just redid. So, and this
is right next to kind of where this is.
And this does not match what they just redid last year. So I'm very... Actually, I should clarify. I didn't intentionally not put this in. I kind of, like, saw it and was confused and then got distracted by something.
But this is the type of stuff that, like, we don't like, because this isn't very themed or nice looking. It's just kind of there. And this is, by itself, this isn't terrible. Like, I look at it, I'm like, okay, fine. But it's so jarring that it's literally, like, cut out of the brickwork that you're like, what happened here?
The only thing that I could see maybe for this is if they're going to leave the pavers as kind of like a road and then have the sides be that pebbly cement.
Maybe.
That's the only thing I can think, is if they're going to have, like, 3 sections. So, like, the pebbly stuff on the sides and then the pavers in the middle.
The stuff at the Haunted Mansion looks like it's getting far, though. And the stuff by Tiana, I mean, all of this work that they're doing there is really coming along. There's so much construction happening right now that...
Hungry Bear's under refurbishment.
Crazy. Well, apparently, I had heard or read somewhere that Hungry Bear's, like, kitchens are getting renovated, which is great.
They're renovating the kitchens. It looks like there's some exterior renovation stuff going on, too. The west side is going to be like a brand new park by the time they're done with all this.
Did you see that they have new doors and stuff on the front of Splash Mountain's entrance queue area?
Yes, and it looks, I don't know if this is just the lighting, is if the entrance looks brighter or if they've done something to the actual, like, the wood, but it doesn't, I felt the last time I saw it, it looked a little bit more weathered than what that looks. So I don't know if they just maybe power washed it or something, but
well, if you look at the completed Tianas in Disney World, I think this is going to get, like, painted really nice.
Could be, yeah. I've seen that Walt Disney World has, like, a mural, and I haven't been able to figure out, and it's on the entrance. I don't think it's, like, the front.
Sure.
Maybe it is. Or if it's the side, but I haven't been able to I haven't watched queue POVs to figure out where exactly the mural is compared to, like, the entrance that the queue goes in.
Yoo-hoo! Hello, everybody! It's me, Heimlich. My stomach is so empty. Hey, help me to go find something to eat. Come on, everybody. Here we go.
Well, this week for Snack Chat, we are spending some more time over with Vern to learn more about his churros that he enjoyed this last trip. Churro Talk with Vern.
Welcome back to Churro Talk with Vern. We're gonna go into.
You don't sound very excited about churros this week.
Because I'm sad. It's our last 2 churros, and then there's no more churro talk until I go back to Disney and I get to have more churros. But that won't be for a while. So for our last 2 churros, we're spending all of our time in DCA. We're starting off with the Mr. Potato Head Chip Churro, which can be found near Goofy Sky School. This is a churro with chocolate drizzle that is a salted chocolate drizzle and the regular cinnamon sugar to it. And then it is topped with potato chips.
Which sounds interesting.
It was not what I expected. It was the saltiness in the chocolate drizzle really gave it a very savory quality to it. We actually had to go over to the cart and ask, hey, where is the saltiness coming from? And the cast members working at the cart said, oh, there's actually salt in the chocolate drizzle. And because we knew that, we could taste that there was definitely the regular cinnamon sugar going on, but it just had that salty, savory quality going on. It was very tasty. It was a good salty, savory thing like you would expect from like a baked potato, because it's the Mr. Potato Head chip churro, so I was expecting a more savory thing. It was very tasty. The salty chocolate was delightful, but I don't necessarily know if I need to do it again.
See, I enjoyed it because it was a good. I wasn't thinking savory like you were. My whole thing when I read the description initially and then when seeing it like was sweet and salty, the combo of sweet and salty to me. So,
sure.
But yeah, I don't know if it needed maybe a little bit more chocolate for this week, because I think the saltiness in the chip and then also in the salted chocolate was maybe a little overpowering with the saltiness, so you didn't get the good blend of sweet and salty, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but it was good. It was enjoyable.
Yeah,
I
mean, it was definitely good. I'm not knocking it at all. It was delightful.
Just not my favorite of the ones that we tried.
Yeah, not my favorite. Yep.
So on a scale of 10?
I mean, scale of 10, like I said, definitely it was very good. I'll give it a 7.5 to 8.
Oh.
It was very tasty. Anybody that wants to try it, I'm not going to steer you away from it. It was definitely a good eat, and I'm not upset that I ate it, But, I mean, also, longtime listeners of the podcast have heard me talk about the chili cheese churro. People know that I'm more wild in my tastes, and as I was envisioning a potato head churro, my brain was going to like something that would be like really wild with like a sour cream and chives and cheese, and like I was getting way out there in potato land of doing something with potato chips. And
you just described this, and all I'm thinking is if they were to, instead of having the actual churro itself be like a churro, taking like a potato and molding it into the shape of a churro,
there you go.
And then having all of the things on it.
Oh my goodness, that would be even better. You see,
you could do like mashed potatoes in that shape and then fry them.
There you go.
See, that's just, so maybe I even rated it on a scale because I was thinking of all the lost opportunity of if you're going to do something potato themed, get into the potato theme. Don't just sprinkle some potato chips on top of salted chocolate and call it Potato Head.
See, the other thing I was thinking with this is because of the potato chips.
Sure, and that is something that I kind of lost in the conversation. I got so hung up on the salted chocolate that I forgot to keep mentioning, yes, there are crushed potato chips on it, which do give it a crunch and some extra flavor and lend to the name of it being the Potato Head churro.
See, what I was thinking, though, is when I was thinking like something with potato chips, I think of all the different flavorings you can get in a potato chip, at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't thinking... I know you can get like chocolate because you get that sweet savory thing going on.
Yeah.
But like, or salty sweet or whatever it is. But I was thinking like, what would you put with a potato that's not like chocolate? So maybe that's what I was thinking when you got it. I didn't read the description.
Sure.
I was just going by the name. And so, interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
But you have another one?
I could have gone with more chips on it. They
More
should
chips?
have like crushed them and then rolled the chocolate drizzled thing in it. So there was like...
So
instead of just, like, a
kind of like
sprinkling?
they have the cinnamon sugar,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
roll
yeah.
it in, but roll it in potato
yeah.
chips. Okay.
Yeah.
That could be good. All right, what was your other and last churro?
Yep. So the last churro that I got to enjoy wasn't really a traditional churro. It was the Silly Symphony's Churro Sandwich, which can be found at Magic Key Terrace.
Oh, yes, I forgot about this.
Yeah. It is it's a sandwich. It's served warm, and it comes out looking more like a cookie sandwich. And it has strawberry compote with white chocolate mousse, topped with a strawberry crunch. It's more like a warm cookie than an actual churro. Doesn't really have that crunchy outsideness going on. My note that I wrote to myself is, glad I had it, don't know if I need to again.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
It was very tasty. I enjoyed it. I mean, strawberry with white chocolate mousse topped with a strawberry crunch. How do you go wrong with that?
Right.
I thought it was delicious.
I mean, it was very, very tasty, but I went into it wanting a churro, and I got a cookie sandwich.
Sure.
So, no. So
It was a failure of expectations.
Teresa, this is churro talk with Vern.
It's true.
Teresa.
It may have been delicious, but it was a failure of expectations, and that's why I put it in the don't know if I need to again
Ooh,
category.
I
It's
really
hard
enjoyed
because
this one.
I feel like I wouldn't count this as it has a churro in it, but is it a churro?
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Just like those
this
cosmic
is the
things that
bonus.
they get.
The bonus churro.
Because what do they call the things over in
the spiral rations?
the spiral rations?
So
are
and like
basically-
this is what that reminded me
Yeah.
of. Like it's like a spiral ration. It's a pinwheel churro, if you will, that they then cut in half and then filled with the cream and the fresh strawberry. I really liked this. It was served warm. It was really I enjoyed this. Apparently, maybe I was the only one.
It lacked for me. It lacked the crunchiness that I expect from a churro.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It,
A
didn't,
little
it didn't have
softer.
it didn't have the like exterior.
It
crunch.
wasn't
It wasn't
soggy.
a churro. It was a cookie
It was,
sandwich.
it was just.
It was a
softer.
delicious cookie sandwich, but it was not a churro.
Yeah.
I
And you
Personal
rate this out
opinion.
of 10?
I enjoyed it.
For flavor, I will give it a solid 8.5 to 9. It was delicious. But for being a churro, I've got to give it a 2 because it wasn't.
Yeah. Fair.
But it was delicious, and if anybody wants to try it, I highly recommend it. It really was quite tasty. But be advised, you're not getting a churro. You're getting a cookie sandwich that kind of tastes like a churro.
That's fair.
Yep. So, I guess thank you everyone that has enjoyed the journey of all of my churro eating, and I look forward to the next time I'm in the parks, and I will take notes on all the churros I eat then.
I feel like we missed a prime opportunity because I feel like 1 or 2 months before we were there was like mountain of different churros. Like you got a lot of churros for sure, but I feel like there was more churros just a couple months before we were there.
Well, we'll just have to plan accordingly for our next trip.
Yeah, I wish you would have been able to try the cannoli churro. That was pretty good.
That sounded good, yeah.
So, well, we just wanted to remind everybody that we are hosting another meetup because we're going to be in the area for the D23 Expo. And our meetup is going to be a joint meetup with Terry's tribe, Imagineer Terry Harden and her tribe, along with Weekly Tiers and us are going to be meeting at the Lazy Dog Restaurant, which is located at 1623 West Catella Avenue. It should be right after the Legends ceremony on Sunday, August 11th. So as soon as we can get out of the Legends ceremony and get to the Lazy Dog Restaurant, that's when we'll be there. We'll meet on the patio. It's free to attend. You don't have to buy anything or pay anything, but if you want anything to eat or drink, which obviously we're in a restaurant, so it'd be nice if you did buy some of that stuff, that's your responsibility. It is within walking distance of the Honda Center. There is free parking there. And, of course, we've had Imagineer Terry Harden on before. I know that she's really excited to come back on with us again at some point. So if you want to meet her in person, she's a wonderful person to meet in person.
So fun.
And get to meet some of her tribe people and get to meet some Weekly Tiers. It's a win-win for everybody. So come out and meet us at the meetup on Sunday, August 11th.
Reminder for all Weekly Tiers. These questions can feel like a high-speed roller coaster type ride in the dark, with self-high fives, sudden drops, and stumps. Follow all pre-launch procedures, including stowing hats, glasses, and all loose possessions in the cargo pouch located directly in front of you.
Welcome to Trivia Land, where we've got a combination of some listener-submitted questions and one from me and more listeners submitted and a bonus question and we're going all over the place. How do you feel about that type of stuff?
we will see how it goes. We're on a crazy journey.
All
Mr.
right.
Toad of trivia.
There you
Yes.
go. I was going to say, it sounds like we've got all the trivia questions, which just means we have that much better of a chance of getting one right.
There you go.
It's going to be a wild ride, yes. All right, well, let's see how it goes. Your first listener-submitted question from listener Sarah P. The Wedway People Mover was a direct descendant of an attraction from the 1964-1965 New York World's Fair. What attraction was that?
The Ford Magic Skyway, right?
Yep. Which is confusing because the gondola buckets that they installed at Disneyland later was called the Skyway. So it's funny that the People Mover came from the Magic Skyway attraction at the fair, and the Skyway buckets were a gondola attraction from Tomorrowland to Fantasyland or vice versa.
So that's the Ford Magic Skyway.
Yes.
Both of you, final answer?
Yes.
Which people got in, Ford Mustangs, I believe, and scooted you around. And then when they came to Disneyland, they got rid of the Mustangs.
All right.
You're making me lament the People Mover, Sarah P.
I was waiting for that to come. You haven't gotten sad about the
I
People
watched
Mover.
a 20-minute video on YouTube that sounded like they had rumors that it was coming back, and he spent 12 minutes talking about Tomorrowland in general, and then said it's probably tomorrow. The People Mover's probably not coming back, but we all love the People Mover. And I was like, anyway,
You're like salt wound. You're just pouring
just
it
rub
in.
it in there. All right, let's move on.
Your second listener-submitted question from listener Andy M. Verna Felton provided the voice for the adorable fairy godmother in Cinderella 1950. But can you name at least 2 other famous animated characters that she voiced?
Disney or just any animated characters?
All Disney that I was able to find when verifying.
So she was the voice of
The fairy godmother
Fairy Godmother.
in Cinderella.
And you want 2 more?
At least.
At least.
Is it cheating if I just pull up movie lists so I can think of characters?
You should be able to pull up a Disney
I'll let
movie
you
list.
look at movie lists.
So I think, I'm going to say, I don't know why, but the first thing that popped in my head was Mrs. Darling from Peter Pan, the mom. Because something kind of was tickling there. That's all I got. This is a movie question. I'm not good with the movies.
Ooh. Oh. Okay, good. What are these names? But they're not people in it. Is she...
The Evil Queen?
No, I'm
Queen
thinking
of Hearts?
in Alice in Wonderland. Oh. So we are using a lifeline and looking at just a list of films to kind of help us along here. Do you think... No, with Alice in Wonderland, I'm trying to think of what her mother sounds like.
Honestly, I didn't even know her mother was around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just in the beginning and the end. And there's also all the flowers. She's definitely in Alice in Wonderland. Now,
Okay.
which voice in Alice in Wonderland? That's the question, because all of the...
Is she one of the flowers?
One of the flowers? I almost want... She could be the queen. I'm trying to think of what the fairy godmother sounds like and what other characters sound like. I'm going to go with my gut and say that she was I think it's the mother. That's the beginning and end. I don't think it's an aunt. I think it's the mother. They're
Okay.
doing their little lesson and stuff in the beginning.
Okay. I'll hop on your bandwagon for that. I'll go down your rabbit hole with you.
And you said there's 3, Vern? And you
At
think...
least, he said at
I'm
least
asking
2
for
we
at
have
least
to come up
2.
with.
Oh, at least 2.
So I'm coming up with 2. So I'll get on your rabbit hole for that one, and then I'll say the mom from Peter Pan, Mrs. Darling. See, what's crazy about Disney back in the day is I feel like there was a core set of actors that were in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And your second answer?
I'm looking at titles and trying to listen to what the characters sound like in my head.
We have to institute a time limit.
I'm trying now. No, this is me trying to remember the character names. There's an aunt in Lady and the Tramp, and I don't remember what that aunt's name is.
You think it's her?
Yeah, Aunt something that comes to watch to like.
I'm sure that if
babysit
you
or
got
whatever?
that close, Vern would give you the point.
Are you talking about the ant that found the rat?
Yes,
Aunt Sarah?
Aunt Sarah. Yes. I'm like, and she's got the.
Did you know that, or did you Google that, Vern?
Everybody knows Aunt Sarah.
Yeah, okay. I know almost nothing about Lady and the Tramp, but I watched the live-action version a couple years ago now.
Okay, so you're also thinking the mother from Alice in Wonderland?
Mother from Alice in Wonderland
And mother from
the
Peter
mother
Pan.
from Peter Pan. She's just very motherly. Okay.
Okay, so Mrs. Darling, the mother in Peter Pan, the mother from Alice in Wonderland, and Aunt Sarah from Lady and the Tramp. Final answers.
Yes.
Alrighty. Your third question from me. Let's play a game of What Queue Am I In?
Oh, we haven't had this for a while.
Yeah, I figured you'd enjoy going back to
I
this
like
one.
what queue are we in?
I have 3 hints for you.
Okay.
Let's see if it takes you all 3 to figure out what queue you're standing in.
Now remind me what the rule is here, because like, wasn't there something about like getting more points if we had less clues? Or
It
something?
was. I
forgot
used
about
to
that.
do 4 clues, and if you got it in the first 2 clues, you got full credit for points. And if it took you all 4 clues, then you got half credit for points.
Is that what you're doing here?
We haven't really been keeping points as much as we used to.
That's true. We've just been doing correct or half
It's more
correct.
for funsies now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So,
So-
first clue.
So, 3 clues. First clue. There are crates marked from the SIA Mystic Point chapter.
Can you just calm down and let him get through the clue? So there are crates listed what?
From the SIA Mystic Point chapter.
Okay. So that's the Society of Explorers.
SEA.
Hmm?
SEA.
Yeah.
Say it again. It's SEA. E like elephant.
You don't know. Maybe she's thinking something different.
Oh, really? Do I need to bring up my picture of it?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Okay. Anyway. Okay.
Your
so what's the
second clue.
Can I put my guess in?
There's
You
a,
just you have
your
a guess
second
already?
I
clue.
do.
There's a crate marked from Professor Henry Jones, Lost Delta, India.
Yep. Solidifying my guess.
So I'm thinking, ooh, this is tough because it's either Indiana Jones or it's the treehouse, but I think it's Indiana Jones. Because there's not really a queue for the treehouse.
Or is the treehouse just one big long queue?
That's true.
By the way, I just want to share with the
I mean,
Weekly
that's
Tears
true.
the look on Teresa's face and her body language. She looks
is
like
the
she's going
cat
to
that got the
explode
mouse.
from excitement of whatever.
I wrote my guess down, so
Okay.
we'll see if I'm right or not.
So I think. Oh no, Lost Delta. That's Jungle Cruise actually, because Lost Delta, Jungle Cruise. Okay, so I'm gonna tentatively say Jungle Cruise, but he said we're funsies. He's got one more clue.
All right, and your third and final clue. There's a medicine cabinet containing bottles labeled bland pill, witch hazel, and piranha liver oil.
This is tough because this is all like all 3 of those attractions are like interweaved with each other. I want to say Jungle Cruise, but then part of me is like it might be Indy. Part of me is then like, what are we considering a queue for the treehouse? Because that one I feel like I'll fight.
Vern said the queue for the treehouse is the treehouse. The whole thing's
The treehouse is one big long
Oh
queue.
my goodness! So I guess but see, I feel like I've seen the Lost Delta thing before, and I thought that was like an indie thing, but it might have also. Oh God! I'll say the treehouse. I shouldn't, but I'm going to say the treehouse. I guess. What did you write down?
Jungle Cruise.
You're probably right. See, I went through all of them at different
You
times
did.
here, but we don't know yet.
Okay, so Taga's saying treehouse and Teresa's saying Jungle Cruise. Final answers.
Yeah, because
Final.
I don't want to change my answer based off of Teresa's answer.
Okay.
In fairness, that was one of the ones you were going between.
It's true.
All right. And your fourth and final regular round question before the bonus from listener Theodore. What is Disneyland Paris version of the Astro Orbiter called?
Oh, see, you've got this one.
Do I though?
Because you've been there. So I have faith. I have faith that you know this, Tag.
Oh. No, because there's all these dumb names for things. Like, is it the Orbitron? I think it might be the Orbitron.
That sounds good.
But see, the Orbitron, I feel like, was the name of the dumb thing they put on where the rocket jets were in Tomorrowland.
Up top.
That was like the thing that came alive with lights and sounds every 15 minutes for like 6 months and then stopped working.
I don't know what this is.
And the only reason I know that lights and sounds every 15 minutes because it used to be in the monorail spiel.
Oh, sure.
They stopped pointing out specific things that aren't big attractions on the monorail, I think because they don't want to be like,
case.
Oops.
We got to re-record that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have assumed it was called the Astro Orbiter.
It might be. Are you saying Astro Orbiter?
Yep. It's a very, very original answer.
So Tag is saying Orbitron, and Teresa is saying the Astro Orbiter is called the Astro Orbiter?
Yeah, unless it's like the something jets.
In fairness, I didn't... Did we write... yeah, we didn't write it. In Paris.
Neither time they were there.
I might have... No. We were trying to see the bigger attractions.
Is it kind of in the same location as like where Disneyland's are? Or are they further back into Tomorrowland? Like, are they at the entrance?
I don't even remember, to be honest. I thought... I wanted... No, I don't remember, to be honest with you. Their Tomorrowland kind of is fuzzy in my brain. Because I keep thinking of Disney World's Tomorrowland and mixing it up.
Sure. Yep.
Because I almost said that the Disney Paris version was up on top, but I'm like, no, because they don't have a people mover, so it wouldn't be up on top of something. That's Disney World. Anyway. We could just draw this out forever, Vern. Just let's move on.
So final answers.
Yeah.
Final.
Orbitron and Astro Orbiter.
Yeah.
All right, locked in. Final answers.
Feel good about it.
Your bonus question from listener Andy M.
Bonus question.
Finish the lyrics. When the crypt doors creak.
And the tombstones quake. Spooks come out for mysterious...
This doesn't sound like singing.
Oh, we're supposed to sing it?
Of course.
When the crypt doors creak and the tombstones quake, spooks come out for a swinging wake. Happy hunts materialize and begin to socialize.
Oh, yeah.
Grim Grinny
Vocalize
Ghosts.
or socialize? And
it could be either.
Vocalize. Grim Grinny Ghosts
come out to socialize. Yeah, that's
vocalize,
it.
socialize.
Yep.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I don't know how long he wanted us to go.
That was as far as you were supposed to go.
Good.
Yes. All right. Well, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Stick around until after the discussion topic, and we can all find out together.
And now I have Grim Grinning Ghost stuck in my head. Well, for this week's discussion topic, we are continuing our conversation with filmmaker, entrepreneur Matthew Serrano to talk about his other Disney-related works that he's done, as well as some special things that he's worked on recently. So what other things have you done? Because this isn't the only Disney deep dive Disney documentary that you've put together. What was the first one? We'll kind of backtrack in time.
Yeah, so the first one that I worked on was Remain Seated, Please, which I made that documentary out of frustration because I was getting really tired of making short films that I just was never happy with because there would always be something that would get in the way. It was always like someone that was working on the short film with me would drop the ball in some way and it would bring down the quality of the film, or I didn't have enough money and it shows in this way or it shows in that way. And I was just getting really, really frustrated. And so I just really wanted to make something. And I really was inspired by Defunctland, but I wanted to take it even further, kind of the way, like, I was really inspired by Kevin's Disney's America video. And I remember telling all my friends, like, see, this is what you can do with theme park stories. You can tell theme park stories, but in these formats, like a Ken Burns, you can make a Ken Burns documentary about Disney. You can make a rock documentary, a music documentary about theme parks and stuff. And so I was just thinking about like an idea of something to make. And I remembered doing a deep dive one night about Horizons and coming across the ride at Epcot and coming across a blog called Mesa Verde Times. And then fast forward years later, I was talking with Jordan Iscaro, who has been my composer on pretty much every project that I've worked on since even before the Helix documentary. and he's a huge Disney theme park fan, especially when it comes to the music. We were talking about like, oh, like what are your favorite like theme park loops to listen to? What are your favorite attraction audios, stuff like that? And I told him, oh man, I love just like putting on like the Horizons, like the 30 plus minutes, just music from Horizons, because they made like such a like massive amount of music for this one attraction. And when we were talking about it, I was like, and while you're doing that, you should also look at this one blog called Mesa Verde Times. It's crazy. These like two guys named Hoot and Cheat decided that they found out that Horizons was closing, and they basically found out that there was no security system on the ride. So they came up with a system for not getting caught, and they were able to, for months and months and months, jump out of the ride vehicles, run around, document everything, film things, take photos of things, in very, very rare cases, take things, like when things had broken off and stuff like that. But they were able to completely document this ride that was about to get demolished and not be documented at all. And yeah, they made this blog about it where you can read all about their adventure. And I remember telling him about that. And then that night, I was like, I'm going to go back into it and look more into it. And I found that they had a YouTube channel. And I saw that the YouTube channel had no subscribers and 0 views. Like none of the videos had any views. And I immediately was like searching and searching and searching and searching and searching. And I could not find any videos that had been done about their story.
Wow. Yeah.
And spoilers, the last video that they have on their YouTube channel is how I end the documentary. And when you see the documentary, you'll see why I saw that and realized, wow, there is a story to be told here. And I took it upon myself to go through their entire blog and turn it into a cohesive narrative. And worked on that for a couple of months just by myself in my childhood bedroom. Because at the time I was still living with my parents back in Orange County. And I remember telling myself, like, if no one watches this and if no one likes it and it just doesn't get anywhere, then maybe just filmmaking is just not for me. And like, maybe I just need to do something else, because seriously, I was getting like fed up with filmmaking and just getting really like, just losing all the love and all the motivation and stuff. Yeah. And just really feeling like maybe it is me. Like maybe I'm the common denominator and maybe I can't tell a comprehensive, emotional, engaging story. And so, yeah, put a lot of work into that documentary, and then it came out, and the rest is history. Because I put it out on a YouTube channel with 0 subscribers, and within a week it got like 100,000 views, which was blowing my mind. Sadly, it would have gone way farther, but some parent, like some Karen on the internet, flagged it for having bad words.
Oh.
So now it has a parental restriction, but it still has gotten a lot of views even through that because of how much it's just been shared, which is amazing. And it got me like pretty much all the other opportunities I've gotten since.
That's awesome. I do want to ask a question because I don't really know that much about it, and since our audience is primarily Disneyland, what was Horizons?
So Horizons, so you have to think, so back when Epcot was being built, they wanted to have it be very pavilion focused. And so at the time they had all of their pavilions figured out except for 1 or 2. There was like a few that were like still being figured out and that were going to be coming later. So the Imagination Pavilion with Journey into Imagination, that came, I think, like 2 years later.
Figment.
Yes. And the Space Pavilion, which was Horizons, was delayed. And so they were like, come back next year. And next year that will be open. And Horizons was this amazing attraction that Disney made that it's funny that Spaceship Earth is like the last one standing.
Yeah.
Because truly, in my opinion, Horizons was the like thesis of Epcot. It was the perfect summary of everything Epcot. I feel like Horizons, better than Spaceship Earth, summarize all of the themes of Epcot into one. Like if each ride was an episode, Horizons would be the finale to the Epcot experience, at least in my opinion. And I do think it's one of the greatest attractions ever made. I can go on and on about how it was like one of the first attractions, if not the first attraction, to use like smelling technology. Which I found out that the recipe for the orange scent in that ride was then copied for Soarin' Over California.
Oh.
So every time Soarin' Over California comes back and you smell that orange smell, you're smelling a piece of Horizon. That's the exact same chemical recipe that they use.
That's amazing.
Or like the system that Forbidden Journey uses with the screens lining up with the ride vehicles. Horizon did that first.
Wow.
30 years prior.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just like insane, crazy things about that ride. Yeah, it's amazing, and it's huge. It's massive, and so there's just tons of show scenes and tons of places to explore. And so these guys had a lot of places and a lot of ground to cover while exploring around on this ride.
That's wild. Stuff like this I think is so important because, like with Helix, this is something that's forgotten because this is not something I ever got to experience myself. I've heard a ton about it, and being able to watch these documentaries is a way for people to kind of get a better understanding, almost like relive it in a sense if they did get to experience it or maybe understand it better. And I think it's just so. Now obviously we do not condone hopping off of ride vehicles to film on attractions, but I think it's super cool that these two were able to kind of, again, make sure that the history doesn't get forgotten and that it can continue, that generations after can understand, because Horizons was one of them, but there were so many super cool OG Epcot attractions that no longer exist that's the best part of the park for me, is like the front part of the park. And they just don't have that.
Or now, whatever it's called.
Yeah, but now it's just, I mean, it is still, but also not like it was. Like it was amazing. So, and I know like Journey to Imagination is a big one for me because I love Figment. I never got to, why it's a big one for me, I don't know, because I never rode the original, but that's something that I like crave to go and like experience online through other people's work. So I think it's amazing that you are doing this, and that it's just basically you're just a big Disney nerd that loves filmmaking and just sees stories in these things and then kind of collects all the puzzle pieces together to make the art. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I've gotten to do some really cool things. I'm very, very lucky. Yeah. And I'm very lucky that people respond to my stuff. That's like always like the biggest thing, is like I can obviously just make this stuff for myself, but it's really cool that people respond to this stuff and like it, and then I feel like it can bond with more and more fellow Disney fans as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. So with Defunctland, you did the Helix documentary. That was the first thing you did with them. Have you done anything else with them since then?
I have. Yes, I recently I've done a lot of assistant editing for Kevin. I'll jump in a lot to help out with a lot of things, like the Disney Channel theme video. Helped out a lot with the editing on that, as well as recently the latest video they just put out, Kid Cities. I helped out with some of the editing on that. Not really helped out, but I was told the entire Fast Pass video one night while hanging out with him. I went to Orlando, and while I was there, I was like, "Hey, we should hang out." And he picked me up from my hotel, and then I was like, "What is there to do in Orlando late at night?" And he was like, "Do you want to grab food?" I was like, "Sure." And then we went and grabbed food at what's the gas station company that they have where they have the sandwiches? I don't know. Someone I'm sure probably listening will be like, "It's that." But yes, whatever it is. Yeah. Not is it Wawa's? Am I thinking of something else? Anyways,
it's gonna drive him nuts, just like it drives us nuts when you don't know.
we went and grabbed late night gas station food, and then we were just driving around, and hanging out, and like we like sat in a parking lot, and he just like told me the entire Fast video. He was like, by the way, this is the next thing that I'm working on. And he just told me the entire thing from start to finish with all the twists and everything, like literally everything. He told me everything. And I was just like, just mentally exhausted by the time he had finished.
It's an hour and 43 long video, so man.
Yeah. Because he told me the data, he told me everything. And after that I was like, wow, I can't wait for that to come out. I remember telling him too, oh yeah, that people were. It's so funny. Kevin is always, it was the same way with Disney Channel theme song and with Kid Cities now. He's always like, I don't know if people are going to like this. And I'm always the one that is like, no, you're going to love it. I guess I was kind of wrong with with the Epcot video. Because I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be huge, man. And then it wasn't. But it still got great. It still got a great response, which I'm really happy with.
Just not as big as some of the others.
Oh yeah, Fast Pass, I couldn't have predicted how huge that was going to be. But I mean, he made a masterpiece of a documentary. And then the last thing is, I've done some outside work with him as well. He does some secret work outside of Defunctland, and so I've worked on some projects outside of Defunctland with him. And then I directed most of the live action segments in the Epcot Center Symphonic History video.
Oh, very cool.
And that was pretty fun to recreate WDI in different eras and stuff, and get creative with filming B-roll and stuff. That was really cool.
Oh, that'd be super
I need
fun.
to watch this now because I'm just flashing through. I'm like, oh yeah, this is some recreation stuff, which is not normally a lot of the videos are not, they use existing footage or whatever in interviews, but this is one of those documentaries where you actually added some. Well, recently they had that how Walt built Disney helped build America or whatever, where it's a mixture of recreation and interviews and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Epcot video is by far the most amount of effort that he has ever put into a video before.
Well, people should go watch it.
And probably will ever put into a video. It's just one giant flex of how much of a creative genius he is and how much of a talented filmmaker he is. Because by the end of the video, you'll just ask yourself, is there anything that he can't do?
Wow.
At one point, there's laser animations, and he bought an 80s laser machine and learned how to program animations on it. I mean, it's just nuts. There's paper mache animation. There's shadow puppet segments. It's insane. And then also all of the music is original scoring. He worked with a composer and a full orchestra, and I think pretty soon he should be releasing the vinyl for that.
Wow.
That's
what
impressive. I'm glad you shared that, because I would have assumed in this day and age that some of this stuff was just done via computer. So that's really extra. I mean, it's impressive to do it with a computer, but it's extra crazy wild impressive that that's still all that's physical stuff still, especially the laser stuff.
The laser stuff is all shot on a wall in his house, and he filmed it with his camera. Yeah, it's all physical. It's nuts.
That's wild. That's super wild.
I want to watch this now. I will need to watch this after the
go.
interview or something, but this is crazy.
There you go.
Everybody listening, go watch this because it deserves more views than it has.
I agree.
Because there's a lot of the videos on Defunctland are millions of views. That Fast Pass one has 21 million views as an example.
That's wild.
But even still, the Kid Cities one was only 2 weeks ago, and it's already up to 2.7 million. So, but I will say, I've been my algorithm has been pushing that one to me quite a bit because I'm I don't even know what this Kid Cities thing is about, but I don't have an hour and 13 minutes to find out right now. But maybe I should.
Kid Cities is one of my favorite videos of his, and maybe I'm a little biased from working on it, but I'm really proud of that one. He did a great job with that one. It's really great.
So, Matthew, what have you been working on more recently?
Well, in terms of Disney projects, obviously, still working with Defunctland on things, but a few years ago, I was involved in a documentary that is still pending release. Hasn't come out yet. It's kind of being delayed and pushed off. Hopefully, it will come out soon. It is public knowledge now, so I can talk about this.
Yay!
There's a documentary called Stolen Kingdom that I was working on for a couple of months. And the story about that is, so the documentary is an epic telling of the history of debauchery at Walt Disney World, all leading up to and kind of explaining how we got here, to the climax of the film being the Buzzy animatronic theft that happened a couple of years back. Which, for those that don't know, there is an attraction at Epcot and Walt Disney World called Cranium Command, and there is an animatronic character named Buzzy that someone or some group of people or whoever mysteriously stole. And Disney reported it as stolen. It was not them coming in the middle of the night and taking it for the archives. Someone stole it. And for just weeks, it became this crazy thing in the theme park community where everyone was trying to figure out what happened to Buzzy, who stole it, why would they steal it.
It was on the news even.
Wow. Yeah.
It reached national news, and someone was charged for not the theft of Buzzy, but for the theft of other things. But they tracked him down thinking that his name was Patrick Spikes. They thought that he had stolen Buzzy. They tracked him down. They found that he stole other things. And then he got released on bail. So I thought that story was crazy, and I wanted to investigate into it further and see what I could find. And so I just tweeted out this idea. I was like sitting around bored. I didn't have anything going on. I had no film projects at the time. I just tweeted out an idea. I was like, what if I made a true crime style documentary about the Buzzy theft? Would anyone be interested? And I got a ton of likes. A ton of people were like, oh my God, I would love to see this. I would love to see this. And then I got messaged by this guy, Josh Bailey, who is a filmmaker who's also part of like the Diz Twitter community.
Yeah.
Who messaged me going, hey, dude, that idea you tweeted, we've been working on that idea for the last year and a half. Do you want to join the team? And they told me that apparently that they had been thinking for a while about asking me to take part because, and this is kind of light spoilers, the very beginning of the documentary, because again, it's talking about the whole history, and you have, in order to get to Buzzy being stolen, you have to first talk about Hoot and Chief. So basically, they were like, hey, you already made this video and you did it really well. Like, we think that you'd be perfect to join on for this. And so at the time, they had a sales agent and they didn't have anything or anyone else attached to the project. And so I worked for like 5 months on the project, and I helped them develop the first rough assembly of the entire movie in paper form and also in video, like in edited form. And during that time, they lost their sales agent, and they told me like, oh, that sales agent wasn't doing anything for us, but we think that this other person might be interested, and we can't talk about it yet. I was like, okay, sure. And the entire time while working on it, I always in the back of my head just thought, man, I don't think anyone's going to want to touch this documentary, because we talk about some crazy stuff that happens at the Disney parks. And again, this is all real, and we're talking about this stuff, and this is all stuff that, like, for the most part, has all been reported on and covered and talked about. And we have to talk about this to set the stage for why the hell would someone steal an animatronic from Walt Disney World? Why would someone do that? And so I just thought the entire time, like, it doesn't matter how we tell the story, how we do it, no one's going to want to touch this movie about people doing crazy things in public spaces.
Yeah.
Well, they told me one day, we have someone that wants to jump on as producer of this movie about people doing crazy things and dangerous things in public spaces. And that person is Jeff Tremaine, the co-creator of Jackass.
Seems like a natural
That
fit.
seems perfect, yes.
Seems like a natural, perfect fit. I met Jeff. He's awesome. He's also crazy.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine.
it fits perfectly. He is the perfect person to produce this film. But as of that time, around that time, I moved on to other stuff, and I'm no longer involved in the project. I still keep up to date with how things are going, and if the film ever comes out one day, which I hope it does, I will be credited as a writer, editor on it, which is really cool. But as of right now, it's still up in the air what it is that they want to do with it. I think there's still a lot of, unsurprisingly, legal things that they're still working through.
Yep, sure.
But hopefully it will come out someday, because the people that I have shown little snippets from have all just been like, this is wild.
This sounds wild.
I was going
really
to say,
crazy.
you've sold it to me. I want to watch it now. So, fingers crossed that it comes out.
So I gotta, like, I don't want to have you give away, like, the story or whatever, but can you just kind of give, like, I'm trying to, in my mind, because my mind is thinking it could be, like, a bunch of different kind of things. And so I'm trying to think, like, does it, like, the history that's covered, is it, like, just people doing dumb things at the park, like, in general, or is it, like, stuff, like, similar to, like, people, like, thieving animatronics from the park, or was that just kind of like the icing pinnacle on the cake, icing on the cake kind of situation?
Well, without really talking about anything at all, because also legally in a lot of ways,
sure.
I'm not sure who I can name and what I can discuss or anything like that. But to summarize mainly it's focusing on the people that were kind of inspired by Hoot and Chief after seeing what they did and then going off and doing their stuff as well.
Okay.
So who you're thinking of in your head, yes, you're probably right. They're probably in the documentary. People that were like, come with me to see this abandoned thing or explore around this abandoned thing.
Yep.
And it gets into a lot of the... And again, also, I'm speaking on my cut that I made, so I'm not sure, also how the current cut is. I haven't watched the current cut. But that is kind of like what we're mainly focused on. And I think still, from what I know, is still focusing on is like people being like, oh, well, Hoot and Chief did this, let me do this. And then it's not always for the best reasons. The thing is with Hoot and Chief, like they weren't doing this to get famous or to get money or to get notoriety. Like they just did it because they just wanted to do it. And they, for years, were only sharing it with just themselves. They were just watching it themselves and looking at the photos they did themselves. They didn't even tell anyone that they did anything that they did. And now it's so different. Now there's money to be made from it. And there's people with millions and hundreds of thousands of subscribers on YouTube and places that, are profiting off of doing this stuff. And so it's a very, very different landscape now.
Yeah.
Well, and Disney takes this stuff seriously. I know, again, I won't name anybody, but I know one YouTuber that I used to watch fairly frequently got banned from Disney World Resort for going in a backstage area or whatever and sharing it. And I was like, oh, well, like, and because to Disney, right, like their whole brand is their illusion that they've created. And so if you strip back some of that, like that really kind of irks them in a lot of ways. Plus, it's unsafe. Like, they don't want all these people poking around in places that are only employed. I mean, and no business wants people poking around. The local restaurant doesn't want you sneaking into the kitchen. Like, that's dangerous. So I can understand that.
Yeah. And even, and what's funny is the documentary also covers, like, this is like in the first like 5 minutes, the documentary covers the fact that like this is a documentary about Walt Disney World specifically. Because something that I found out from working on this project is how different the landscapes for Disneyland and Disney World were back then and kind of in a lot of ways still are now. Where, like, you have to think culturally, right? Disneyland and Walt Disney World are in two very different places. In Disneyland, you have back, like, let's say it's the 80s, right? In the 80s, you have all of these like LA punks, SoCal skaters just going into the park and just tearing the park up. And so Disneyland security from day one, for the longest time, has been super, super strict. Like, super strict. Like, you can't jump the fences to get in. You can't jump out of rides. There's cameras in every ride.
Yeah.
Like, they will see you. They will catch you. They'll throw you out. There's security planted everywhere. There's secret hidden security planted everywhere. Like, they have been on it since day one because they have to. Because the culture is just so different. It being a locals park and all the local kids just like, it's California. Like, we're built different here.
Right.
Whereas in Florida, it's a bunch of old people. And
tourists.
For the longest time, it was like just old people that lived there. And then it was tourists. And so if you're one of 5 teenagers that like grew up in Orlando in the 80s that would go regularly, like if you went to Walt Disney World in the 80s as a teenager, you were one of 5 that were not there on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you knew everyone that was obsessed. You guys were all obsessed. And so it was 5 of you that would go ahead and decide, well, we're going to start breaking rules. So none of that was anywhere near on Orlando's radar.
Interesting.
Whatsoever.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's why every ride has security in Disneyland. Meanwhile, over in Walt Disney World, like, not so much.
This does not mean that people listening to this should go do this stuff.
And this has probably been buttoned up too, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Now, I would imagine Walt Disney World security might even be crazier.
Might be higher, yeah.
Because of what has been going on in recent years at Walt Disney World. Mm-hmm. The thing is, like, the stuff that happens at Walt Disney World could never happen at Disney.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's
could
fascinating.
never have happened at Disney.
That's fascinating.
Oh, yeah. I know, like in Walt Disney World, you could like pop into entire buildings and just explore around in abandoned buildings, like all you want.
Yeah.
In Disneyland, if you are under the age of 21 and you take a sip from someone's beer, like security will come out of nowhere, and ban you.
Yeah, you're like,
wow.
And this is a regular occurrence. This is something that happens all the time. Like, their security is on another level, and it's also just everything is just so small, and everything Walt Disney World is just so huge. It's just like it's probably also a thing of it's so hard to keep track of everything. Whereas it's just such a bubble at Disneyland. That's another thing. That's like another big part of the documentary.
That's
to tie it back into Disneyland.
Yeah.
I really want to see this now, so I hope that whoever's working on it, I hope they can overcome these hurdles and get it out somewhere, because this just sounds fascinating.
It does sound fascinating.
Yeah, I agree. Fingers crossed as well over here.
And then there's also something that you did recently. Looks like a short film called Pick One. Can we talk about that quickly, too?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to talk about Pick One. Pick One is an idea for a film that I've had for years and years and years that I wanted to make. So I'm half white, half Latino. And growing up, I had this experience where I was taking my first ever standardized test, and the test said race, ethnicity, and in bubbles, pick one.
Yeah.
And I, as a little 3rd grader kid who always followed the rules and always did everything that they were told, freaked out. My brain shut down. I was like, I'm going to go to jail if I pick the wrong one.
Yeah.
But what is the wrong one? What is the right one? What do I do? And also, what do I say? I can't ask anyone this. And so I just like totally freaked out. And fast forward all these years later, I had an idea where I was like, I like remember that experience, and I thought that would make a really funny short film concept. I should make that someday. And then I'll tie it back into Disney in a couple of ways. Disney Plus has a program called Disney Plus Launchpad.
Oh.
And so I had never heard of it, and they had just opened up, they had completed their first season, and they opened up submissions for season 2. And I want to say this is back in 2019. And my friend, Freddie, told me about it. We were at Knott's Berry Farm together, and he was like, by the way, like, have you heard of this? You should apply. And I told him about the idea. He was like, you should write Pick One and submit it to this. So I did. I wrote the first draft of Pick One, and I submitted to Disney Plus Launchpad, and I was sadly rejected.
Oh.
And so then fast forward years and years later, and I had submitted to tons of like script contests, always the runner-up, never the winner. In fact, it was so ridiculous because even though I never won anything, I was the 6th highest rated family short script on the entire website that I was on. But it didn't mean anything because I never won anything. But it was because I was second place so many times. My score was just like so high. And so then, I just kept submitting places, getting rejected, always runner up. And then finally, at the beginning of this year, back in, I want to say February, like end of February, early March, I was reached out to by my work because I work with the Youth Center Project, which is underneath the Latino Film Institute. And my bosses at the Latino Film Institute reached out to me and they were like, hey, Me Too and Walmart have this filmmaker mentorship program that you should apply to. And they sent me like a private invite to apply. And I was like, oh man, okay. And I worked really hard on my application. It was so crazy. Like they gave us like no time. They gave us like 2.5 days to like submit tons of material to them. Like I had to make an entire budget. I had to like write all these like cover letters and like bios. And I also had to rewrite the script because I wanted it to be perfect, but then also it was like an 11-page script and they wanted it to be 7, which if you know anything about writing, that is really hard to do.
Yeah.
To cut down a short film script that is already super tight to something even tighter.
Wow.
Which, by the way, while I was rewriting the script, the power just went out in my place.
No.
And the reason why it went out was because these 3 guys were drag racing right outside on our street, and they crashed into the telephone pole and then ran.
Oh, no.
You're like, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah. Dang.
So that was fun. But then, I submitted all the materials. There were 9 filmmakers that were invited to apply, and I was one of the lucky 4 that was selected.
Wow.
And I got $50,000 to make the film. It's the biggest budget I've gotten to work with as of yet. When I told Kevin, it blew his mind because he was like, that's more than twice the budget you had for Halo. How are you going to spend that on a 6-minute short?
Wow.
And I got to work with just the most amazing team of people. The other filmmakers, Kayla, Sophia, and Manuel, are all extremely talented as well. And it was such a pleasure to work with them, to work with Me Too, to work with Walmart. And our films, we made them in like a crazy short amount of time. They're on YouTube right now. They're on the Me Too YouTube channel. We got to screen them at La Leaf and Bentonville Film Festival. And we also recently were featured in the Hollywood Reporter and Variety, which I still can't even process as being a real thing. It just doesn't seem real at all.
Wow.
And to tie it back into Disney again, the film is inspired obviously by an experience that I had in my experience growing up being mixed. But also, I always pitched the film as a live action Pixar short.
Oh, sure, yeah.
To anyone that I talked to about it. And so once it was like getting made, I told everyone that's what this is. Like, this is going to be a live action Pixar short. And it was great because anytime that it's screened, I've gotten people that come up to me and are like, you know what it felt like? And I'll be like, a Pixar short? And they'd be like, yes, it feels like a Pixar short.
You're like,
I was like,
perfect.
I wonder why. And even down to the score, Jordan, my friend from the beginning, talking about Remain Seated Please, that same composer, he worked on the score for this. He also scored the Halix stock. I just sent him a playlist that I had for like 5 years. I'll pick one. That the bio it just says, Randy Newman, please score my short film. Because when I was I put together inspo playlists for every project that I work on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when I started putting together the inspiration playlist for this short film, the first song was Randy Newman, the second song was Randy Newman, the third song was Randy Newman, and I was like, so basically I want Randy Newman to score. Okay. Then I just committed to that. And I was just like, let's just make a score that sounds so like a Randy Newman score. And
that's what I'm going to spend my budget on, is getting Randy Newman to score it.
Yeah, I was even thinking about hitting up Mike Post. I was like, do I hit up Mike Post and ask him, hey, you work with Randy on Cop Rock? Which, by the way, that's another project that I someday want to make. I want to make a documentary about Cop Rock.
I've never even heard of it, so
well, that's just what Halix was. You would have never heard of Halix if it wasn't for Matthew.
I was gonna
to very quickly touch on Cop Rock. For those that don't know, Cop Rock is known as one of the. I'm trying to remember what the title is. It's either one of the worst TV shows of all time, or one of the biggest failures of all time. They failed to create a new TV genre, which was a musical cop show.
That sounds terrible.
I think this sounds fascinating for a documentary.
Yeah, and so Mike Post and Randy Newman wrote like pretty much all of the music for the show. And what's to tie this back into Disney, because everything ties back into Disney. One of my favorite songs of all time is from Cop Rock, unironically. And it's Randy Newman wrote a song called She Chose Me for the show. That is just such a beautiful song. I referenced the lyrics to it in my best man speech that I gave at my best friend's wedding.
Oh.
Because I think that the song is just like so beautiful and so amazing. And if you go on YouTube right now and you listen to Randy Newman, She Chose Me, Cop Rock, listen to that song. It 100% is the precursor to When Somebody Loved.
Oh,
It is 100, like down to the point where it sounds like if a song had a prequel.
Yeah,
that's the prequel to. It's pretty much the same song, just like change the lyrics kind of and like change the melody a little bit.
Oh, that's sweet. Now we're
and so I just know that Randy Newman was like, let me go back into my songbook. Let me rework this song a little bit.
You know what I've always wanted? I've always wanted a song that flowed right into When Somebody Loves Me. Now I have the chance.
But I just know that he was so proud of that song for a show that failed, that he was like, I'm not going to let that song die.
Yeah.
How crazy. I feel like you have all of this, like, obscure knowledge of these things that there's for everything that's ever created. There's people that love whatever it is, right? And it just never like hits mainstream. But there's people that like really love it, and I feel like you have found these like little gems of things that like you really like or think are fascinating or interesting, and then you're like trying to like show the world like. Yes, the mass audience didn't particularly care for this, or it was a weird concept or something, but you really should like learn about it because it's super interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I love giving things like their second chance.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of worried because my career is kind of going that way. Kind of everything that I put out has a slow start, and then like it takes a while to be appreciated. Like the Halix documentary is a good example of that because it started off and the views were very, very slow.
Sure.
Because it was the intrigue. It was just like such a hard thing to like convince people like, hey, watch this documentary about something watch an hour-and-a-half long documentary about something you have no idea about at all.
But I tell you won't be sorry, especially if you're a Disneyland fan.
But now it's almost at 2 million views, which is really exciting. And there was a time where I was hoping that it would hit just 1 million.
Yeah,
so.
for such a like niche, blink of an eye thing that happened in Disneyland history that was so unique and so just wild. I mean, it deserves its time to shine. I feel like it's one of those things you feel bad for people that were part of things that maybe it wasn't appreciated when they were doing it, but then like somehow things catch up. Well, back to Bambi. We were talking to her about a Goofy movie and she's like, I don't understand. Like that was kind of a flop when it came out. I'm like, are you kidding? I loved that film. I loved that music. And so to her, it's just wild that however many years later, you can walk into Toon. She's like, you can hear it in Toontown. I said, yeah, they play a Goofy movie, like songs in Toontown.
There's been more and more of that.
Wild. Yeah, it's always so sad to me though that people don't appreciate it for what it is when is doing its thing, and sometimes it just takes a little longer. So the fact that the Helix documentary has reached 2 million people is just like amazing.
Almost.
Almost.
I will say, I wanted to say this earlier because I feel like this is important. People who know the name Mike Post, like I remember in my mind when I was watching the documentary, I'm like, Mike Post. I'm like, I've seen, like, my mind could see his name in text on something, but I couldn't place it. For those of you who he's best known for the music from the theme music for Law and Order, which is like super recognizable.
The A-Team. Law
and Order Special Victims do the A-Team and NYPD Blue, LA Law, Quantum Leap, Magnum PI. So like all these things that like I remember.
Not walking on it. That's my favorite Mike Post.
He's done
creation.
So much. Yeah. So
and Helix.
Which I'll tell you, what I can hear from the documentary, it sounded like I'm not like a huge rock person, but it was pretty dang cool. I kind of wish I could get it. In fact, I think one of the comments on that video said, "Well, now I have added going back to the summer of 1981 Disneyland to my time travel bucket list."
100%.
So
100%.
Yeah, definitely. Now I've got hours worth of supplemental material now to watch after we're done. So. Thank you for that, I suppose.
I'm watching Remain Seated after this.
I also want to watch that, yep. Well, there's a bunch. I want to watch that. I want to watch Pick One. Well, that's a quick one, but anyway.
Yeah, luckily Pick One's the quick one.
All right, well, our last question. If you could work at Disneyland, what would you do? Sky's the limit. It can be a real job. It can be a made-up job. Anything you want, what would you do?
Real job? Just work in some capacity at Imagineering. I would love to, because I'm just so, I'm a storyteller. Like I'm not like, even though I do advertise myself as a filmmaker, like I'm not like someone who is just like, oh, I'm a one kind of filmmaker. I'm a one kind of whatever. Like I'm at the end of the day, like if there's a way of telling a story, then like I want to do it. I would love to someday be involved with making a video game. And working on the story of a video game, right? I have tackled documentaries, short films, feature films, like all different kinds of things. Now even like social media. And so, yeah, I'm so obsessed and fascinated with storytelling through shows, live shows, through attractions. And I would just love to be involved in that in some way. And then made up job, I would love to be the king of Disneyland.
There you go.
I could just make decrees. So like if everyone's fighting on Twitter, I could just come in and make a decree and be like, here's what I decree as king of Disneyland. This is what we're doing. Bam.
Yeah. And you're not arguing.
I know it's the wrong studio.
We're fixing the DAS system. You guys messed it up. We're gonna fix it. Bam.
Yep.
What's so funny is I know it's the wrong studio, but you said that, and I imagined the dude from Harry Potter like in the hall, like nailing like the decree up on the wall or whatever.
Those are the rules.
Hogwarts. Yeah. Well, that's sort of.
He's going to be nicer because those are mean rules.
Right. Well, I'm just saying I can imagine that type of thing. I didn't say you had to be mean about it.
That's true.
But Disneyland could use a king. I'm telling you.
You can be like, Tomorrowland, we're going back in time. Bam. To when it was good.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Or put in something new that's going to be good, hopefully.
Yep.
So, Matthew, where can people find you online? Where can people follow you, especially for finding out things like when this documentary may come out in the future that
Stolen Kingdom, yes.
Partially worked on, yeah.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Matthew_Serrano, on TikTok as well. And then on Twitter, I'm Matthew G. Serrano. And then I'm also on YouTube, Matthew Serrano. Go watch the Fun Clan. Go watch Pick One on the We Are Me Too YouTube channel. And also, if I could plug my entrepreneur aspect, which is not for nothing, because I recently, a couple of months back, started a clothing brand with my girlfriend, Brie Kish. Oh. And that clothing brand is called Toby and Linus. That's TOBY &LINUS. And we sell matching human and dog clothing.
Oh, for cute.
And our big thing is we feel like a lot of human matching dog, I should not say dog pet clothing, because we've had pigs who love our clothes.
Oh my goodness.
Cats who love our clothes. We have cat merch now, finally. But yes, we started making it because we own 2 Mexican hairless dogs who get cold, who can get sunburnt, and so we want to put clothes on them. But my girlfriend, being the eccentric dresser that she is, wanted to match with them. And she realized that pretty much like everyone, including Disney, no shade, puts out whenever there is matching human and dog pet clothing, it's very like low quality. It's never like super cute like designs. It's always very plain. And then the big thing is size inclusivity. We really believe in size inclusivity, not just with humans, because that's the main thing, but also with dogs too. There's a lot of pet owners that we talk to who are like, oh yeah, my big 150-pound dog like can't wear sweaters. And we're like, we've got your 150-pound dog. We got you. Everyone's welcome at Toby and Linus.
My goodness, is there anything you don't do? We will be sure to link that with this episode as well, so everyone can go check that out too, because you saw there's a thunderstorm happening here. We live in the Midwest. So you saw one of my dogs hop up, so you know that we are dog lovers, animal lovers here. And I know we have a lot of listeners that also love their fur children as well. So you'll definitely have to check that out.
And if you guys are all, if listeners out there, if anyone out there is big into Halloween, we have the cutest Halloween design that every time I show it to people, they just scream. I'll show it to you guys when we get off of recording, when we pause the recording. But that is going to be released, I think, end of this month. Ooh. So we're very excited about that.
Super exciting.
Check us out, Toby and Linus.
All
we have an online
links
store
to everything are going to be in the show notes. Definitely go check them out. And thank you, Matthew, for being on. And it was amazing to meet you at Walt's Barn while we were taking the Bob Gurr tour, of all things.
Yeah, which I hope that was cool. That sounded really cool hearing really about that.
It was really cool. Well, yes, thank you, Matthew. We appreciate your time, and also just like I think it's so wild and just so cool that you found these things and brought them back and kind of brought them the love that they deserved, and that, like you said, you preserved history on, especially the Halex one, which was just incredible.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, it's somehow that time again. It is our live stream weekend this weekend. So if you are a supporter at the cast member and above level, this is also our hangout weekend. So if you're a supporter at the cast member level and above, we do a Zoom call hangout every month on Sundays. It's usually the third Sunday of the month. But for the supporter hangout, it'll be this coming Sunday, July 21st, supporter hangout.
4 p.m. Disneyland
is at
time.
4 p.m. Disneyland time, but the other super exciting thing happening this Sunday is at 5:30 p.m. Disneyland. It's our public live stream, so come hang out with us. We can chat D23 stuff, because this will be the last live stream before the big expo and the big event, so we're very excited. So maybe we should all try and plan our days together. You can ask advice, all that kind of last minute sort of thing. But anyways, we invite all of you to come. We're very excited to see you all there.
Woo! Welcome back to Trivia Land, Shell. My name Raymond, and I hope them answers are bigger and better than this here back porch I got attached to me. Don't you know Evangeline and I wish y'all the best of luck.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we are going to find out the answers to tonight's trivia and see how you, the listeners, did at home and how Tag and Teresa did here. Tag, Teresa, how do you think you did tonight?
Like half.
We'll see. I'm confident on 2 of... Oh, no. And the bonus. I'm confident on the bonus. So
okay, there you go.
Yeah, okay, so half doesn't sound so bad.
See, you're doing good.
All right. Well, let's find out together, shall we? Your first listener submitted question from listener Sarah P. The Wedway People Mover was a direct descendant of an attraction from the 1964-65 New York World's Fair. What attraction was that? Both of you very confidently saying the Ford Magic Skyway. The correct answer that I was looking for was the Detroit Motor Speedway. No, the Ford Magic Skyway.
Wait a minute.
That's what I was like, huh?
No, you had the correct answer. That was the Ford Magic Skyway. Well done. High fives.
Good job.
Woohoo!
Your second question, submitted by listener Andy M. Verna Felton provided the voice for the adorable fairy godmother in Cinderella in 1950, but can you name at least 2 other famous animated characters that she voiced? You said Mrs. Darling, the mother from Alice in Wonderland, and Aunt Sarah from Lady and the Tramp. Correct answers that would have been acceptable. Mrs. Jumbo from Dumbo of 1941. The Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland,
I
1951.
almost said that.
Aunt Sarah from Lady and the Tramp, 1955. Flora from Sleeping Beauty, 1959.
Oh.
Or Winifred the Elephant from Jungle Book, her final role that she portrayed in 1967.
Wow.
So I did not do very well.
Dang, we learned a lot.
Yeah. She was in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Your third question, from me, playing a little game of What Queue Am I In? Your first clue, there are crates from the SEA Mystic Point chapter. Your second clue, one of these crates is labeled From Professor Henry Jones, Lost Delta, India. Your third clue, there's a medicine cabinet containing bottles labeled Bland Pill, Witch Hazel, and Piranha Liver Oil. Tag said that it's the cue for the treehouse, or it is the treehouse. Either way you want to look at it. And Teresa, very confidently off of the very first clue, said it's the Jungle Cruise. The correct answer that we were looking for is the Jungle Cruise.
I should have known with Vern that it would have been the Jungle Cruise.
I don't know why or what it is about the Jungle Cruise queue. Every time we're in it, I just am staring at all of the new details that they put in there. So
because you know that I'm always making my first what queue am I in album.
I appreciate all the details that there's a lot of storytelling in that queue now, especially with the recent updates. Like to the point that as soon as you said that first crate, I pictured in my head and I could almost explain to you exactly where that crate is in the queue. Like I don't know why I pay that much attention to that queue, but I do.
Well, good job.
What actually got me
Paid
going?
off.
So I try to always do some what queue am I in every trip that we do, but this particular trip, what got me thinking of doing what queue am I in was when I saw the crate for Professor Henry Jones. Mm-hmm. Because I thought, oh, that would be a great one to try to trip them up because we're right next to Indy.
There's
And
so many Easter eggs.
yeah, so I thought, okay, what other ones can I find? And then I glanced over, I saw the SEA Mystic Point chapter, and I built the rest of it from there. So I will have another What Queue Am I In coming up in a future episode because I did do some more while we were out there. So look forward to those.
I do like these, even though I apparently am not very good at them.
They're tough, though. If I wasn't, for whatever reason, paying so much attention to the Jungle Cruise queue, everything you explain, I'm like, yeah, I feel like these could be in those other two
the Lost
attractions.
Delta one, I have seen that, but then my brain was like, but which one was it? Because they're all kind of intertwined.
Yeah, because they all have SEA and cute, like there's SEA references in the treehouse.
SEA screwed me up because of the treehouse, because there's so much SEA stuff.
Yep.
And then you said the medicine cabinet, and I was like, is there a medicine cabinet in the queue? I'm not sure. I know there's probably one in the treehouse.
Well, and there's a medicine cabinet in the office in Indiana Jones queue.
See, look at that. He was being tricky.
So the medicine cabinet is what screwed me up. Anyway.
So the medicine cabinet, when you're in the queue, it's when you're going, so you're on the upstairs. It's when you're first going to the, extension part.
Oh, see, when I go upstairs, my brain, shuts off looking at the queue at all.
Oh, I don't know. That's when
I look
turns
out.
On. Oh.
I'm always looking out.
Yeah, I always notice the medicine cabinet because there's light that comes through the bottles, so the bottles are all sorts of bright colors.
For me, I'm always looking at the pinned up bugs downstairs.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
Oh, those are fun.
And
yeah,
some of the posters and stuff. But then when we get upstairs, I'm always I'm a view guy.
Yeah.
So I'm looking out at the thing or looking out at the people. Anyway, let's move on.
It's just a great cue, though.
It is a good cue.
Yep. Well, I'm glad you enjoy those questions because I enjoy making the what cue am I ins. So, all right. Your fourth and final regular round question from listener Theodore. What is Disneyland Paris version of the Astro Orbiter called? Tag said it's the Orbitron, and Teresa said it's still the Astro Orbiter. The correct answer that we were looking for was the Orbitron.
Woo!
Good
I did
job,
not think I
Jake.
was going to get that, but I am glad I did.
You pulled it out of somewhere.
Well done.
Thank you.
It was in the, you had it tucked away somewhere from when you were looking at the Paris map when you were wandering around.
I think at one point in the history of Disneyland, I think the Astro Orbiter was called the Orbitron. I don't know. There's something...
Something's tickling your brain?
I'm looking in the thingamajig here in the encyclopedia. Astro Orbiter... I guess not. You're right. I must just be thinking Paris. And I don't know.
It was tucked in there for a rainy day. That day was today.
Yep. But I got it. So, yay!
Good job.
Tag.
Well done.
Don't get to do that one very often.
Oh! You were close. The thing in Disneyland was the Observatron.
Oh, the thing that makes all the noise?
Yep.
Gotcha.
It's still there. You can see it, but it doesn't do anything.
Right.
And for your bonus points tonight, how did that song go again?
Where did it start?
It started with When the Crypt Doors Creak.
And the tombstones quake. Spooks come out for a
Swinging wake. Happy haunts materialize.
Serious Wake?
No.
What? The swinging wake.
Serious Wake?
Okay, sorry. Start again. When the crypt doors creak
and the tombstones quake, spooks come out for a swinging wake. Happy haunts materialize and begin to vocalize. Grim ghosts come out to vocalize.
I mean, correct? I think they can replace the bus in the graveyard.
Oh, yeah, totally. We all
we need one
that.
more. There's only 3 of us.
We got to get James up here to take the bass line.
We need to add to our crew.
There we go.
Yes. Well, listeners, how do you think they did? Were you singing along at home? If you have that perfect question that you'd really like to hear us ask sometime in the future, please feel free to send that in to us at dlweekly.net/trivia.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
And a special thank you to Tag for editing this podcast episode.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us, and we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.
Hey, it's Michelle Beadle. That's right, the Michelle Beadle. You're welcome. You love talking about sports. I love talking about sports. You know the only thing cooler than talking about sports? Sports! And right now, all your favorite sports are on Sirius XM. I'm talking every NFL game, every game from the NBA, NHL, MLB, every NASCAR race, golf major conference college sports, and all the top games in the WNBA. If it gets your heart pumping, it's on Sirius XM. So start your free trial of Sirius XM today. Visit SiriusXM.com/believe.